jump back into it. I'm going to come out with all guns blazing. Today we have Sister B.L. Carter. And of course, like many of us, she's been through a whole lot. Maybe she's gotten more of a few portions than most of us have. You see, sometimes when you go through stuff and the emotional issues are brewing under the skin, we can't see that internal bleeding. Some people get hit by cars, some people crash in planes, but sometimes that emotional pain and frustration, especially when you are targeted and attacked by an institution that many feel is the safest place on the earth. And what place is that? Your local church. Anyway, with those being sometimes and oftentimes our worst enemies, after we are love bombed, many get crushed. The marriages are broken by pastors who send their resident Jezebel homewreckers into play so that your family could break up and that pastor can get the resources. Is it just that easy? No. These people are killers. Anyway, and those are my words. Sister B.L. Carter, welcome back. Nice to hear your voice again. Nice to, I can't say see you like I saw you when you came down, but we've been talking about this for a long time, especially a little more openly, but there's some things that you're going to say today that you haven't said before. You know, the kid gloves are off and you're ready to really tell the whole thing. So
Right.
buckle your seatbelts, people. Here it comes. Talk to me about the overall. Give us a taste of the overall in 60 seconds and then start from the beginning and take your sweet time because I will be asking questions. And as far as those listeners who don't know how we get down here, I never press anybody for information that they're not willing to give. This is a tell-all situation with her agreement. So don't come into the comment section later on and say, why are you being so nosy? Why? That's going to lead me to believe that you're one of them, because we want to uncover not just what she went through, but what so many people in these church cults go through. They see how much you make. They see a family intact. They want to break that family, get the resources and smear your character. And long after, they don't want you to live to tell the story. They do everything possible with the resources and connections that they have to utterly destroy you. But B.L. Carter, you are not destroyed. You're alive and well. You can only go up. So talk to us, sister, about what you've been through in your life, and don't hold back.
Well, hello to everyone. First, let me go ahead and give this disclaimer that most know me soft-spoken, loving, and caring, and all that other good stuff, and I am that.
We know that.
But
We know
there's
that.
also that New York in me. I was born in New York City, grew up in New York City, and so there comes a time when you have to dig down deep to express yourself in such a way to get people to hear you, because they obviously don't want to hear the reasonable, the politically correct dialogue, the proper language, and all of that. So you may have to go somewhere to kind of jog them into opening their eyes and paying attention. So there's your disclaimer. If you've got kids in the room who are used to hearing Sister BL with her nice, soft voice and all that other stuff, you might want to let them go watch TV in another room right now. So the quick overall for those of you who don't know the history is I was married in the process of getting me a was band. And we were members at a particular church, Living Word Faith Center in Texas. And we noticed some issues with things that were going on in the church, a lot of things that were not in accordance with biblical, with scripture, as well as a lot of marriages falling apart, relationships falling apart, a lot of financial distress amongst the members. So we just decided that was someplace we were leaving from, et cetera. And the appropriate people were put in place to try to get in our business as much as possible and create conflict. The short of it is the conflict was successful in that he and I are in the process of trying to finalize the divorce. Excuse me. And the problem that I have with the entire situation is that the efforts that have been made these last 2 years, my kids and I have lived to keep the story under wraps, to isolate me in such a way that no one ever hears what's going on, or to defame and or discredit me as much as possible, so that the appropriate legal processes, when we get into it, does not work in my favor or gets dismissed or never happens. To avoid accountability is what it comes down to. And so we've been, back and forth in court and legal and lawyers and all that other stuff fighting. And just to kind of detail some of the things that we've gone through, my kids and I have gone through these last 2 years. We've had, and this is at the hands of soon-to-be husband and the church leaders that are kind of working with him. The ones who told him that I was not the appropriate wife for him, who told him God does not want us together, who told him, all kinds of crap, whatever, to kind of create the conflict.
Wait, okay, I know you know all of this information because you lived it, but this pastor actually said that you're not the one for him, your husband. Who in the heck gave him the right to say something like that?
Well,
no, I'm just saying. I mean, who is he?
Well, I'll tell you. Bottom line, he has a direct connection with God. He is prophetic, and he hears directly from God. And if you hear from God, what you hear, if it doesn't align with what he says, then you're not hearing from God.
Wait a second, but what God? I mean, okay, we know that people can choose a mate, choose a husband, choose a wife, and they choose from a lower vibration. They choose from lust or money, that they want money from the person. We have many reasons that are carnal, and sometimes things don't work out. But here, you were already married to him when you came into the church, correct?
Actually, no, we met in the church.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. You met in the church, you got married. Why didn't he stop it then if he thought that? Was he the pastor then?
He was the pastor, and he didn't stop it, because we did not, we were not as public with the relationship in the church.
That's your right to do that.
Specifically because we knew there was a history of every time that pastor or those leaders get involved in people's marriages, there's problems. So we specifically tried to be as low key as possible, in the presence of church members or whatever. And then, do once we leave church. So I think that's why he wasn't able to do whatever it was he do on the earlier part of things. And he didn't find out until after we actually started going public. We were like, okay, you know what, let's stop beating around the bush with the church people. We can go ahead and let them know too, type of thing. It wasn't my choice at the time. Someone else actually did it. Actually, the pastor strong-armed someone into telling, and it went from there. And so we said, well, you know what, it's out. Let the whole church know, whatever. And so now we get them in our business. And that's kind of how it went.
Wow.
But when I started talking, I encountered, the normal stuff, what they do when you're leaving a church or when you're a dissident, if you will, from their mindset. The name calling, the defamation, anything they can do to tear you down, because again, a cult is just that. It's a cult, and everyone's hunky-dory together. And if you seem like you will be defecting, or you're not continuing in the brainwashing or the mindset that they want, then you have to be watched. And there is an attempt to bring you back into the fold. And if it's unsuccessful, then they do what they can to try to destroy you in whatever way they think is appropriate.
Right.
If you do go back into the fold, everything's hunky-dory, but you're watched, you're monitored. And there were attempts to bring me back into the fold, and I disagreed with it. I just, I'm not doing that. And so, hey, it is what it is. They went full force into trying to attack the marriage.
Right.
And that continued, and not just the marriage per se, but the finances, the household, how everything operated in the home, resources, just constantly wanting to borrow this, wanting that, time, trying to keep us constantly apart from each other. Every time we had something to do, they were calling, they need this, need that, all hours of the day and night, just being in our lives outside of church.
All up in your business.
Oh, they were in the bedroom. They were in the finances. They were in my kids' lives. They were in chores. I remember arguing with someone because they're going to tell me how the chores that my kids should be doing in the home. And it's like, well, what right do you have to tell me how to raise my kids or how to divvy out the chores in the home or to handle discipline?
Right.
But they felt it was okay, because, they're of higher position or an elder or whatever you want to call it. And it's okay. And I should be submissive and obedient. And if I'm not, then whatever the consequences, they are on me because I'm not being obedient to God and the word of God and the man of God and that sort of thing. Mm-mm. But in this process, we endured psychological abuse.
Right.
To a level that, of course, I never expected. And the psychological carried on for a couple months. And this was in the last few months before he was out the home. Prior to that, we'd have little conflicts here and there, whatever is normal people. But when the church really, really went hard, mm-hmm. That's when I would want to say, changed literally overnight.
Right.
And I was told that the effort was to brainwash him, to alter his memory, to, do those kinds of things, to focus on anything negative, to create a lot of arguments between us and keep hyping that up at the forefront of his mind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my kids and I, we went through the psychological crap. We went through the financial, constantly being drained, etc. And then it turned physical on a couple of occasions. And I've not shared this before, I don't think, but I did wind up suffering a kidney injury, physical damage to my kidney, a lot of bruises, things like that. For those of you who don't remember, I do have this autoimmune Graves thing, just like Sister Dawn. Mm-hmm. And I think the last time she was on, she remembered to highlight that stress is like the biggest killer, if you will. So whatever protocol we're on and keeping it managed, stress and extreme stress will just knock everything out of the block. And right. It's like you're in a bad position medically. So we did finally get him out the house. He was escorted out by the police. And I did let him, get some basic things, his clothes and some linen. And he got a bed. He got a bedroom, TVs, stuff like that. Right. With intent to, once things calm down, decide what we got to do, write up our stuff and just be done with it. But that wasn't acceptable. What I did learn was that he was to take everything. Me and my kids were to be left with nothing.
And this is a man of God.
These are, well, not just a man, because it's a leadership team.
Right, right.
So the man of God is not the only person in his ear discussing how this marriage is supposed to break up. But yeah, the decision was made that my husband was supposed to take everything. And that included my kids' college fund. That included, as much furniture out of the house he could get, just all kinds of, literally as much as they could, jewelry, you name it. They wanted everything. So
these people are acting like leeches and vultures, but they're supposed to be directly connected to the Most High God. So, I mean, look at their actions. They say one thing, but they have these people locked in, and thank the Creator that you weren't locked into this mentality. We have to, but I mean, what is that for? They want to pick over your life. And this is why I always say that many of these churches, can I say all? I've never been to all churches. I've been to many churches, and I'll say many of these churches, they scope you out to see what kind of car you drive. They send people to your home as church members who are just so glad and want to reach out to you in such a way. And they love bomb you. What does that mean? That They show you all of this love and appreciation, and they make you feel so euphoric. You could be going through something bad, and they make you feel so euphoric and so good. And then when they start to pull things out of you, you don't want to lose that feeling. When they start to put demands on you, that you don't want to lose that feeling, but they'll start to pull it back to pay you or punish you for not doing what they say. So they give you everything up front. It's like a credit card. You take everything, but you got to pay for it over time. But you don't see that coming. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying that this is how they operate and get you in. And they dominate your life. It's not just a Saturday or a Sunday type situation where you go once a week. They're going to demand or ask you or really push it to you that you come on Wednesday. And Wednesday night, this is what we're doing. And on Friday night, this is what we're doing. If it's a Saturday church, you got to go Sunday also. If it's a Sunday church, you got to come in for Saturday. They start to creep in and dominate every facet of your life until, like a person who is a wife beater or abusive person in a relationship, they want to choke you off from all of the things that they can't control. This is how they operate. But you don't see it. It's such a slow burn. You don't see it. And these things are real. And they want, if you're broke and poor, they ain't going to pay you no mind. But if you have resources and you have a nice home and it's two people working and you're married and you have kids, and they see that and they want that for themselves. And do you think it's because of the ministry of the Lord? No. I never saw God in a line at Walmart short on $5. Never saw him in the line at Walmart. Why does he need money? Why are these people looking to take the money like a leech? Because that's what they are. Go ahead, sister.
Well, just to piggyback on that, you are correct. I think once before I talked about some of the churches, and what I will say about this particular church is I did not see the resources that were being put in going back out into the community. I didn't see, actually, I started the food program there, and I coordinated with the city and got training and stuff to be able to get food in to feed the people. But prior to that, the only thing I saw was back to school, book bags and stuff in August, and then toys at Christmas. But as far as on the regular, all those other 363 days out the year, I didn't see them at people's homes making sure their lights were on, or finding some dropouts and getting them some GED training, or, helping people to figure out how to handle finances in a better way so that they can maximize and stop the payday loans and the high interest credit cards. I didn't see any of that. So, the resources were coming in, but they weren't exactly going back out into the community.
Right.
But yeah, so I, once we got my husband out the house, and we went through these last 2 years of, I wouldn't say living hell, but damn near close. We went through our vehicle, one vehicle being vandalized, brakes being compromised, my power steering line being cut, and that's a metal pipe that was actually cut. The kids and I were driving. We almost went over a concrete barrier to the road below that particular day. Various things all of a sudden coming up wrong with the vehicle. And I remember the day I mentioned it, my husband had called and I mentioned it to him, and he did his little snicker. And that's the snicker to let me know he knew something about it. And
Snicker,
whatever.
huh? Wow.
Yeah, a little snicker like, type of thing. And so we knew then that we weren't, that this was going to get ugly.
Well, you know what? It already got ugly.
Well, yeah.
I mean, by this point,
it's getting ugly to the point where, okay, now we gonna have to do some much stronger self-defense,
Right.
To the point where I needed to go. I got some more ammunition, picked up another couple pieces, made sure everybody in the home is fully knowledgeable on the different things that we have and how to handle them, how to interchange, how to swap back and forth. I mean, we had to do that just for our own personal safety. But yeah, being followed, I would be followed. The kids would be followed if they were out driving. We've had our video system. We installed the video system, surveillance system, and we've had that compromised to where they actually hacked in and was watching everything going on in our house. The phone calls being tapped. I found the proof where my husband had paid some tech people to try to erase my Facebook and all my social media. to erase my phone, delete all text messages, delete all my contacts, things like that, just to make life hell, if you will.
But this is not something in the past tense. This is happening right now.
And that's the thing. It continues. It has not stopped.
You
It has
showed me some
continued.
things. I mean, you showed me some things, and you
exactly.
proved it to me by what I saw. I mean, I never doubted you, but this is the links that they would go to, you know, credit reports and crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When my husband and I got together, my credit was 750. And of course it is not that now. That was the intent, to try to destroy my finances. When we got together, I was debt free. I'm not debt free now. And let me correct that. I wasn't debt free, but within 1 month I could be. That's just how low I kept my balance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I owned my vehicle. I owned all my furniture. I wasn't paying all them bills and all that other craziness. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say craziness, because we all have to get to that point. But I had gotten to a point of financial responsibility to the level that I wanted to be a little sooner than others. So I made sure I paid out my debt, and I did a cash and carry type of thing. Or if I used the credit card, it was really a matter just to keep the card active, to keep my credit good, that type of stuff. We encountered, when I say making your life a living hell, it's been a living hell. And it's hard because you have your children who are growing and they've never seen any of this. And now all of a sudden they're seeing it, and they're seeing it coming from people who are supposed to be Christian. And before the chat room chews me out, my spirituality is evolving. But at that time, I was beginning the evolution, but wasn't aware that I was beginning it, because I could see things differently.
Right.
And I think that was part of the problem with the church. I could see things differently, and it just wasn't aligning with my inner self. And so they knew that, you know, I wasn't drinking no more the Kool-Aid there or overall. And the character defamation, I mean, tracking back people I knew 30, 40 years ago to find out anything they could about me, anything that they could find to try to twist it to negative. That's what we've been dealing with. So when I first started the YouTubing more actively, one of the things I wanted to address was people's health, just because of my personal journey, and had intended to be very detailed about how I was able to restore my health without using all the white coat medicines and procedures, and use more herbals and things like that.
Right.
But I had to back off of that, because what I realized was I was being followed and harassed to such a degree that everything I did that was providing success to me, they were coming behind trying to tear down. So I couldn't publicly share some of the things that I was doing to make my progress, because I knew that they would be right there to tear that down.
Understood.
So where we are, we're still trying to get this divorce done, but I'll show you how it was done. Now, my husband is not. I keep saying husband. The term was banned. He's about to be the was banned.
Oh wow, I like that. I'm not gonna lie, was banned.
The was banned, yeah, right. He is not a man who has the ability to think all of this stuff through by himself. Just because of life. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, his walk in life and his background and education and things like that. He has the capacity to follow through if you give him the information, but you have to bring it to him. You have to kind of help him strategize with it, and then he can follow through. But he's gone through quite a bit of mind influence, if you will, brainwashing, bottom line. And thus he pretty much is their puppet, their robot. They say jump and he says how high, and he's going to do it.
Okay, let me just ask you in retrospect, okay, were either one of you a member of the church first?
He was.
He was. Okay, so they probably had that hold on him a little deeper. Did you ever get the feeling that he was never into you as he should have been? I mean, because of the claws of the church that was sunk into him, right? It's like sitting on a couch and there's two people sitting in a two-person little couch, little love seat type thing. But you get the feeling that there's three people there because you feel cramped. So somebody's taking up the energy, taking up the space from him. Did you ever get that feeling that you never had him totally? Or did you have that feeling, and because now you both got married, away from their knowledge, now they have to go and pry a little more and sink their claws in?
And that actually, that's an excellent question. And because I thought back on like, what the hell did I do? Where did I go wrong? You know what, that as we do. And what I realized was early on, when there were times when the church conflicted with the relationship, he always stood with the relationship. So I was flabbergasted, I guess, if you will, when the church conflicted with the relationship and he started standing with the church. I would not have continued in the relationship even from early on if, you know, we've got Sunday dinner planned. That's Sunday is always family dinner day, and we spend time after church. And
Right.
if every time they're calling you and you leaving us, I'm like, okay, you know what? Then you would have remained as a guest for Sunday dinner, and that's all. We wouldn't have went no further. So early on, prior to the church getting into our business, there wasn't a lot of church conflict, because when it came up, I would remind him, okay, you know what, you that's your church. We're supposed to be your family. You got to decide how we're going to do this. And we established how we would do it. You know, we established certain days that were dedicated to handle church business.
Right.
And we would not plan any family business that day. And so the family days were our days. And no, I wasn't giving them up for the church. And he would stand with it, and he'd tell the church, no, he can't. This is family time.
Right.
But then after everything went crazy, it was a matter of we came last over whatever the church wanted, and et cetera. And I knew his mind was messed up, because when he had started going back more regularly, and when he started reciting, if you will, seemed like every word out of the mouth of the senior pastor or some other leader, I could just hear. I'm like, oh my God, they got him. They're messing with his mind for real, because this man he's speaking like these folk are God themselves. So, we push on. We've got divorce filed, and I'll tell you how that happens. The church never, at any point after all the conflict is starting, never sat us down and said, hey, look, let's figure out where you guys are. Let's do counseling. Not that it would have worked, but the effort was not made. The plan was to try to push a divorce through without me knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's illegal. You know, you have to notify the other party. But what they did was and you saw some of this stuff, Lance, where they went and had my address changed on my accounts to where there was no way for me to get any mail or the appropriate mail that I needed, and waited until we went out of town to have the people come to the house to serve.
Right.
And of course, those people did attempt their serving. They went ahead and actually, there were several court dates that I knew nothing about. Which again, my husband and I, we're talking, not in a lot of detail, but we are communicating back and forth to some degrees. Not necessarily happy, but we are communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And I still allowed him to keep up with the kids. I didn't try to block that. I just, asked him to be reasonable about the timing and things like that. But so he had ways of reaching us. But what was provided to the courts or to the lawyers or whomever was addresses where they couldn't send mail, and times to come serve me when he knew I was not going to be home. So they wound up getting, and here's the reality, they wound up going to court several times outside of my knowledge and getting a default divorce. And conveniently, the courts found my address to send me a postcard telling me I was divorced. But there was no address to notify me of anything prior.
Just let you know like that. Oh, hi, how you doing? You're divorced.
Exactly. And it was a postcard. So, I communicated with an attorney, and we got a court date, went right on into court. The judge looked at everything and said, no, this is not right. We're going to have to turn this back around, because there's been no division of property. There's been none of that. My husband's attorney, actually, this is his second attorney. The first attorney he had, I did know we were talking about filing. And when I communicated with that attorney by text and kind of let him know a little bit more of what was going on, that attorney dropped him. That attorney would not, continue with his case. So he's on his second attorney, and this is the one who did the default. And when that attorney found out what was what, and found out I was here not all along, but, I'd come back to town. Actually, I took the girls out college, on college tours and things like that. So we were gone for an extended period of time over that summer. We were back home. We were here. We were, just doing us, dealing with the bull crap of the computer attacks and attempts to shut down all my electronics. But I was here, and my phone number was the same. Actually, my main number, my husband took that, and he's still holding it. So, people I've known for the last 30 years cannot reach me. He's erased the numbers, so I can't reach them. And hacked my Facebook, so my messages don't get to anybody. Doing that kind of craziness. So when his second lawyer, found out what was going on, he told him, no, you know what? You need to settle with her. Make an offer, because you've done some dirt. And the easiest way to do it is just make an offer and just be done with it. Husband didn't want to. So, that starts the actual full-fledged divorce process, if you will. Actually, it already started, but judge overturned it. The judge said, you know what? He doesn't have to agree to anything. I'm overturning it. You were not divorced. Turn over all your financials, put all the paperwork on the table, and, come up with a solution. It took him another 5 months. Suddenly, he dropped that attorney, and it took him 4.5, almost 5 months to get another attorney and to get back to a point where we could try to get back to court again. And this is all on him delaying. Finally get into court. And as it turns out, we get the judge who has a reputation for being father-friendly, for being husband-friendly, and for being against the women usually. Well, as I guess favor would have it, that judge favored me and made some orders. And to this day, my husband has not paid a dime of what he was ordered to pay a year ago. And has not produced the records that he was ordered to produce. He's bought some property, he's bought vehicles, he's been living it up, all kinds of stuff, and doesn't want to produce anything. So we push on. We're, back and forth, and literally, when I say back and forth, I mean back and forth with this bullcrap.
Yeah.
We go to court recently, and what I observed, and this was really troublesome to me, I observed a bunch of Black people, a bunch of so-called Christians, create a narrative and stick to that narrative with the intent to have my husband not be accountable for anything, with the intent to remove the church out of it as much as possible so that the church cannot be held culpable for anything. So I saw people who, at one point when I was there, had no lights, had no water for their kids to bathe, had no food, had no gas to get to work, and they all came to me. But now here we on the other hand, and I don't know what's promised to them. Well, that's not true. Well, yeah, I don't know what's promised, but I can say what they have received thus far. And these so-called Christians are in court trying to testify against me, trying to tear down my character, trying to, when I say tear down my character, I'm cheating, I'm frauding, I'm stealing, you name it, I was doing all of that. And supposedly, there was never a relationship with me and my husband until the time that they found out we were married. According to all of them, I just came out of the woodworks and just stepped in his life and brainwashed him and isolated him from his people and tricked him into marrying me. And that's it. And they had to save him from me.
Oh, wow. What a monster you are, Sister BL.
Exactly,
you did all of that?
What a monster I am. And here's my thing. If I was going to do that, I probably would have picked somebody with a little bit more money. Somebody who already owned their own home, nice, preferably. Someone who was in position to do the vacations and all that other stuff that we women like to do. I wouldn't have picked somebody that works every day and puts in long hours or whatever. Because
you pick somebody that can have you stay home all day if you want. You
exactly.
Know what I mean? Exactly. And run a business that will allow him freedom to go anywhere in the world, and you can hang out and just find out how much money you made just by making a phone call.
Excuse me, exactly. I mean, and not to brag, but trust, those options were available when my husband was courting me. It just is. They were available. But when I decided to go with him, it was because I wanted a partner.
Right.
Sex, once we get 50, 60, 70 years old, sex is just that's a thing of like past,
Right.
You want a partner in life. You don't necessarily want a sex partner. You don't want someone to take care of you, and while they're gone all the time working and you're sitting at home being by yourself. No, you want someone that's going to be in the trenches with you, who's going to, when someone calls in the middle of the night because they've got a crisis, who's going to get up and go with you and help deal with it, who's going to travel, who's going to do life together.
Right.
Like what you and Mrs. Gerb got going on over there. But I observed, and I was just really dumbfounded, actually, to watch these so-called Christians come in and create a whole, fucking narrative.
It is what it is. Tell it.
Your kids weren't on the street thanks to me. And for those who were on the street, my house was your safe place until we could get you somewhere else to go. Your kids didn't bathe because you didn't have it. And my money got your water turned back on so that, your kids could bathe and get to school. When your kids are in the jailhouse in the middle of the night, B.L. Carter was the one there to the jailhouse talking to the police and the sheriffs and all, trying to work arrangements to get your children out. The big I almost call her something. One particular female, when her husband was beating her up, was leaving her home with no money, no telephone, and out running around with his women. Me and my husband were the ones who was taking food to her, bringing her money, dropping her, running the errands she needs to run, paying for her to have a cell phone so that she could have a way to call and communicate with people every time he would get drunk and act a fool on her.
Right.
And I sit and I watch this woman stand up in court and fake the funk out of some so-called health issues that she got, carry on. It was just, I'm sitting here like, and I couldn't hold myself. I just couldn't hold it. Before I knew it, I was like, you black, ugly bitch. And I said it a little bit too loud. I'll be honest with you. And I got chastised. My attorney, to say, the judge can hear you. And I'm like, I don't give a good goddamn shit. She lying. But, because I tell my stuff too. I ain't going to tell everybody else, but I tell them mine. I tell them that. I know I did that.
Right.
But we continue on. And I'm sitting here like, y'all some sorry ass people. Because you can't see that these people at this church got your mind so effing twisted that you would try to tear down one of the few people that has come in and given y'all any real information or knowledge to get from where you are to a next level. It doesn't align with the church plans, but it aligns with your personal plans to make progress in life. And because you are a part of a group, and that group, y'all are going to stand together, and you're caught up in the Jesus shit that, you want to try to tear down.
Right.
So I said, okay, fine. But I watched his third attorney. He had to get a third attorney because I told you the second one dropped him as well. They brought in a black man who has helped finagle other church members out of stuff. Or let me help manipulate the system to get them not accountable for shit they were in. So bottom line, we brought in a crook. Or they brought in a crook. And I watched this man manipulate the courts to a level that I just couldn't even believe it. I'm sitting here like, you got a person who's so black conscious, who's so in for us doing us and us making progress, and you are a lawyer and you would stand here and do all kinds of crookedness to uphold this man doing the shit he's doing. So I watched him. We had an event, a trial, or not trial, but a court setting. Mm-hmm. And time was set aside because some of my witnesses are traveling from out of town. Time was set aside, but I watched that man at the last minute turn around and add 6 witnesses to tie up the time to where my witnesses then spent money to travel and didn't even have a chance to testify. I watched us sit in the courtroom, and suddenly we have all these one fire drill that carried on extensively. much longer than in a normal fire drill. But what y'all don't know is my husband is a former firefighter. He has direct contact with the fire marshal. The fire marshal determines when the fire drills occur in these public buildings. So it was just convenient that it occurred right at the time where we're supposed to be mid-testimony telling. So what I observed was a whole bunch of trickery with the intent for justice not to be served. I observed that attorney attack my children. This is a black man. And you sitting here, you're attacking my 19-year-old daughter. Actually, I think she said something, and he said to her, that's not possible. How could that have been? If you're this age, then it should have occurred at a particular time. And she said, no, it didn't. And she said it occurred when I said it occurred. And he was going to argue her down, told her she was lying for me. And I almost went at him, but, my attorney had to, do what she does best and protect me and tell me sit my behind down and shut up. But as it turns out, what his sorry ass attorney didn't know was when my kids started school, they were advanced. And so when they took the placement test, they didn't go into kindergarten. They went actually they were placed to be able to go in third grade. And I didn't let them go in third grade, but that's where their placement test put them. So they got out of school early. And someone's saying there's a troll alert. They got out of school early.
I'm on it.
Because they were advanced. So based on their age, the school material that they had was advanced for their age. He didn't know that, but he just assumed that she was lying. Another daughter who witnessed a whole bunch of stuff, I sat and watched this man refuse to allow her to even speak. He tried to shut her down, didn't want her to tell about what she witnessed when my husband put his hands on me, the bruising, all of that. I observed my elderly relatives who were able to testify to some things. I observed this black man attack my two elderly relatives. Now, what we know is when women get a certain age and they're elderly, they have that kind of spitfire attitude, like they've lived long enough and they can speak and you better shut up and listen. They kind of came across as that, which you would expect. And at the same time, they're not necessarily as readily able to regurgitate information out within 2 seconds. It takes them a minute to think about it before they speak. So I watched this man attempt to, every time one of them wanted to speak, try to shut her down, try to object. And though the objections may have been overruled, it was just a matter of trying to break her where she couldn't keep her concentration. And you're doing this to an old lady. So my point in all of that is saying whatever happened to fucking black code?
Right.
Now, you are an attorney and you know right from wrong. You knew my husband is wrong all the way around with the dumb shit he's doing and the church involvement and all of that. And the few things that I did ask for and, that I am asking for is actually, he's getting off scot-free with the few things I'm asking for, really. But you would do all kinds of crookedness as a black man to position 3 black women, myself and my 2 girls, to not receive what the law allows them to just because another black man paid you some fucking money. Now, I'll say this. My husband had 2 white lawyers first. Neither one of those lawyers would do the shit that this black man came in and did. Because even though they probably, they'll protect themselves, they saw what was going on and they said, no, this is wrong. We're not doing this crookedness. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and we're not doing it. And so that was, I think, my biggest takeaway in all of that we are so damn caught up on a dollar that we will sell ourselves, we will sell our children, we will sell our women, we will sell our men, we will sell any fucking thing we can sell just to get a damn dollar. And that's sad. It's sad to be in that position. You're an attorney. You're in position to, even if the marriage must break up, the family must break up, you're in position to do it in such a way so that it can be better for the kids involved, really. The damage to them is as limited as possible. But you don't give a darn about that. All you know is he's flipping you enough money for you to do all kinds of crookedness behind the scenes, because you can't stop the evidence. You can't stop the truth of what's going on. B.L. Carter will never change her story. What happened, happened. That church, the people in that church, they did what they did. They're doing what they're doing. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. That's something I lived. Until the day I close my eyes, I will always tell that story. So they can't stop that. So since you can't stop it, you resort to all kinds of crookedness to hide it. That's some bullshit. That's what that comes down to. That's some bullshit. White lawyers have code. There's code for white folk, and there's code for basic decency when it comes to children. Now, the whole time my husband and I were together, I never neglected his kids. His kids were my kids. When they needed, I was right there. I got a call. I remember having to fly from one end of town to the next, ready to roll. And I'm going to the details, but it's like, okay, it's time to go.
That's right.
Because
take care of business.
one of his kids called me in crisis. Now, of course, lucky, it didn't turn into real ugly for us.
Right.
But I was ready to roll and do what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And here now you can justify taking my kids' college money and giving it to a fucking church. You can justify trying to taking my money out of the bank and fix up a place for your bitch. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to tell y'all, the one he's laying up with is the secretary at the church. That's the one that God wants him to be with, according to the leadership there. This same secretary who, what you call them, the resident Jezebel homewreckers? Oh yeah, the last married man she slept with in that church. When it was all said and done, the wife was damn near close. I won't say her deathbed, but her health was down so bad, and she had to go home and live with her dad and recover. And is trying to rebuild her life. This same damn Jezebel is laying up with my soon-to-be husband right now. So, there's some serious stuff. And you're right, Amari. Yeah, I had to catch myself. I used to just call her the adultery partner because, again, wanting to be nice, wanting to be respectful and still get my point across. But there comes a time, and this is what I'm having to learn through all of this. Mm-hmm. How you say, take the kid gloves off. It's time to get into that area where the only way they understand you is when you talk a certain language and you're ready to throw a certain way. Well, yeah, she is a bitch.
Right.
Any woman that lays up with a married man knowing he's a married man, you are that. And then when you take that, when you try to take from that man, knowing you take him from children, not just the wife, because, it might be a matter of whose coochie is the best. I don't know.
Woo!
But
hold on, let me hit the button for a second. Whoa.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Take it away, Sister BL. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, it might be a matter of, who's laying it on them the best. I can deal with that woman-to-woman stuff, because if we come into there, I know how to do what I need to do in that area. But when you're taken from children who've been positioned to do better in life, but see, that pastor had already decided that he wanted to hurt my children to try to hurt me and shut me up. So I say all that to say at this point, you know what? It ain't no praying. How they say pray for no, don't get me started with this Christian crap. Pray for your enemies despitefully using. Ain't none of that. I'm not praying for blessings upon you. I think someone described it to me, well, if you pray for blessings, then the curses or the karma has to come first. And so it'll come quicker and then the blessings will come. Yeah, I understand that rationale, but I ain't doing that. And I'm not necessarily praying against them, but I damn sure ain't praying for them. I'm not praying anything positive to them, because my child cried 3 times behind this bullshit. And this is a child that don't cry. This is my daughter that has, actually, she's the one that called the police on my husband. So I guess that's why he's mad at her. She has a hearing disability. She's had it from the day she was born. And I've always told her that it makes life difficult. It makes things different. But that is never a reason for you not to accomplish your goals. that is your reason to work harder, to show that you can still be all and everything you want to be, even though you were born with this hearing and speech impediment from day one. So she's always been a fighter. She had no choice but to be a fighter. She was born at 2 pounds and some change at 26 weeks, and she had to fight from the day she took her first breath. And my child broke down and started crying for the third time. Well, and I realized that, and I said to myself, okay, you know what? I can't have any more sympathy for you, empathy for you, whatever word you want to call it. The nice BL cannot fit into this space of what's going on, because there is no more nice. There's no intent to just put it on the table and do what we got to do. There is intent to do everything you can to hide what occurred. And like I said, until the day I take my last breath, I'm going to tell what I lived. I'm going to tell what I saw. I'm going to tell what I experienced. And I don't give a good goddamn who don't like it.
That's right.
Because you done already, even on this YouTube channel, you're doing everything you can. You're paying somebody to run the bots to try to keep my counts down and all that kind of stuff. You're doing that. I must be doing something good or something detrimental to you that you spending such time trying to do what? Trying to hold me down, trying to block me, trying to keep anything from me, trying to
That's right.
just be what's the word? A pest in my life,
Tell me.
And my mindset has always been, and you know how it is for us New Yorkers, and I'm sure they're from a lot of the other bigger cities too. When you're born into a whole lot of decadence and adversities and all of those kinds of things, and you have dreams and goals, you bust your ass to make it happen. You do what you got to do. You burn the candle on 3 different ends if necessary to do what you got to do. That's always been me.
Well, I know.
So, yeah, right. I know you know. So that doesn't change. And, the calls will come. I still have people will email me now on, wanting to come on the show. And those emails suddenly disappear. I'm not spending a lot of money trying to undo the stupid shit you're doing. I'm not going through a whole lot of confusion, running back and forth to police. Oh, I didn't tell you, 2 police people where I live go to that church, or used to. I don't know if they still do, but I know they used to. Wow. And my soon-to-be was band went to high school with a supervisor in the same jurisdiction. So going to the police doesn't make sense for me right now. That's just a waste of time. Like I said, we do what we do. We continue on. We put redundancy in place. I told you 1 vehicle was vandalized. No problem. If you're to the point that you want to follow my kids around when they're driving, and when they go into school, they come out and they got a vehicle that's smoking and brakes all messed, all kinds of craziness all of a sudden, I went and bought another one.
That's right.
That's how you do that. You know what? That one's compromised. It's no longer safe. Let me go buy something else so we can still roll until I figure out what's going on with the first one. Well, how about that? The motherfucker followed me enough to text us and say, oh, I didn't know you got a new vehicle. I didn't tell him
he told
I had
himself.
a new vehicle.
He told it himself. Be right back. Answer the call to nature. 2 minutes. Be right back. Keep going.
Okay. So no problem. I didn't want him to know, but we got a new vehicle now. So that y'all did with the other vehicle didn't work. We're moving on. Well, how come the new vehicle suddenly becomes compromised? Suddenly I've got engine. No, it wasn't engine. It was electrical issues with the new vehicle. Now it's under warranty. So I take it in and, kind of go through that process to get the repairs done, get it back out. Now 2 months later, now it comes up with engine problems. Take it in, it's under warranty. They do the engine, do all that kind of crazy, whatever they got to do to get it back going. We're back going again, and comes back down again with some other kind of craziness, ECM, the electronic control module. And for those of you who don't know, that's the computer. That is the brain of these vehicles. They all have ECMs now. And all you have to do is fuck up the programming in that, and your vehicle, you will be chasing problems on your vehicle from now to doomsday. So, and it took that, and that vehicle that I'm paying the note on, paying the insurance on, and everything else is sitting in a shop for 9 months with them chasing one problem after another. As soon as they fix one, call me, say, hey, your vehicle's ready. I go to pick it up within a day or so, or even sometimes before I could drive it off the lot. Now another problem is springing up. And that was yet again, more confirmation that you are actually listening to my calls. The private detective that I hired could hear when you're tapping into our calls. They can see what's going on. But, since you got your little church people that want to tell what they do, and obviously they're going to lie about me. So I can't go in on you the way I would somebody else. We got to be a little bit more strategic about how we handle this. I can't come, and it's not that, and there's no law that says I can't. There's no restraining orders or anything in place, but I don't want to come anywhere near you, because if I do, I see the kind of lies that y'all will plant to try to set me up. No problem, but I'm sitting back and I'm waiting, because at some point you're going to be stupid enough to make another move toward me, but beyond the stuff that you're doing now, my emails and my phones and all of that. And I'm going to be waiting. And I'm going to be waiting. And when we go back to court, I won't give the date, but when we do back to court, I'll be waiting. And at the same time, I'll be waiting for the money that's supposed to start hitting my account every week, starting this coming Friday. Judge ordered you last week to do it, pay it with interest, and we're back from a whole year ago. You're going to start paying it, or you know what, they're going to put you in jail. And she didn't put you in jail this time, but she did find you in contempt. And I'll be sitting there looking for my money. And when it's all said and done, the book still may get written. So that's my spiel. You got a question? Ask me. Okay, Lance is still in the indisposable stage. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? I'm looking as we're speaking. And yes, they are cults. That's definitely a cult. Yes, it is unbelievable. You never expected it would happen. And actually, since all of this has gone down, the membership has dwindled significantly. And actually, one of the leaders or former leaders there shared with me, contacted me just to let me know. Actually, that person thought, now that the church is defunct, that, you know, my husband would have gotten his mind back and kind of worked it out. And I just said, well, there's no point in that, because I'm beyond that. You know, did some crazy shit. You let these people lead you into some evil. I can't do you, because who the hell, what woman would want a man that's not man enough to stand on what he knows, and that would allow people in his ear and do crazy shit? So no, I don't care how much forgiveness you want, how much you done had a kumbaya moment in the trees with God and everybody else. You can't come back this way. But I did learn that they were having some serious financial issues, to the point where they were having to sell the church and downsize to a smaller building. And then I also learned that apparently some young girl in there has been impregnated by the senior pastor, and her dad is on the hunt for the senior pastor. And then the other thing I learned was, after the building was sold and they were supposed to move to a smaller building, pastor got gone and can't nobody find him. That's my story when it comes to that. Questions? Okay, Lance still ain't made it back yet. Alicia, that would be nice, but I'm not going to agree to that. Yeah, you know what? There are very few people that I need that I will actually say, in my opinion, don't deserve to be on the face of the earth. And at this point, I'm ready to say my soon-to-be husband is one of those people that probably does not need to be on the face of the earth. It won't be by my hands that it happens. Karma, whatever, payback, when you reap what you sow, all of that will come into play, and that'll handle it for me. And I'll put this out there. Mm-hmm. There's another person that I know, well, used to know, they're deceased now, that tried me in such a way. And I promise y'all, I ain't no witch, I ain't no witch doctor, no seance person, no none of that. But this one particular person had tried me to a point, and you know, I prayed for them and I did all that Christian stuff. And finally I got to my point where enough was enough. And I let them know how I felt. And, you know, I had to dig down deep and pull that New York and those 4-letter words out and let them know. And they were kind of shocked. And they took their last stab at me. And within 2 weeks, they were dead. I got a call, they were gone. Excuse me. Within 2 weeks, just like that. So in that I say, what you sow, you shall reap. When you try to sow death to me and mine, maybe not physically, but financially, professionally, politically, socially, and all those other ways, that same death that you're sending to me is going to come back at you.
Tenfold.
My hands are clean. My hands are clean. So, yeah. So yeah, Lance, I didn't, if you had any other questions, and I tend to shorten things. So if you have a specific question, I can, I answer it, but.
Right. Wow. In his transition of messing with this resident Jezebel homewrecker, when you really knew and confirmed it, like when you knew, like, wow, I had a feeling before, but now I know. Between him not being with you under the same roof and you finding out, was he trying to like play both ends, thinking he's slick? And you knew, when did you, the very first time you confronted him on this?
On the woman?
Yeah.
It was after he was out the house.
Okay.
When he was still in the house, I'll tell you, there was one day he got up a Saturday. He said he had to go into work and they was moving some stuff. But this man put on a freshly pressed pair of jeans and a shirt. He didn't put on his work pants and his work shirt. He put on fresh pressed jeans, a shirt and shoes, and said he was going to work. I looked at him.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
Okay.
Well, how stupid can you be? I'm not condoning what he's doing, but I'm just saying, like.
So I just said, okay, fine. You know what? Because I'm at a point in my life where I'm not begging nobody to be in my life. But if you want to do stupid, from day one, I told you what my parameters and what my boundaries were. And so I don't have to act a fool. I don't have to, you going with some bitch somewhere, you going, no, you hang yourself. Because I'll work with any mistakes, any transgressions.
Right.
But there's a limit to it. So I'm going to sit back and let you hang yourself. And I sat back and I watched. And he came on in. Turns out he was stupid enough to bring a receipt home. And that receipt confirmed it.
A receipt?
I think a week later, I found another receipt. Found another receipt. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, like to a restaurant for two or a hotel? Or?
Exactly. A restaurant for two. The bitch was stupid enough to post on her social media the restaurant he took her out to. And then I found a hotel confirmation later. I found Western Union money transfers to her. A whole bunch of stuff. And he got away with it for the time frame that he did. And not just to her. He was transferring money out of his bank to other people at the church as well.
Wow, they were straight pimping him.
Yes. And so when it comes out of his account, that means more has to come from my account to cover.
Yeah, so you're paying, you're subsidizing this mess.
I'm subsidizing the bullshit, yes. Dang, there was something I was about to say about that, and it's then got gone. But yeah, bottom line, that's what was going on. They were pimping me, not pimping me. They were draining me through him.
Right.
And he was stupid enough to, But like I said, I established what my boundaries were, and you had X amount of time, and I made it very clear this is my limitations. But when I get to it, I'm done. And so at my age, I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going out fighting, chasing you and you're here and you're supposed to. No, I'm not doing that bullshit. That's when you're 19, 20, 21. You ain't got no sense. You run around chasing a man because you think he's cheating and you want to get into fights. I'm way past that. I know what I am. I know what I'm worth. And if you stupid enough to lay up with the resident Jezebel homewrecker, the one who will repeatedly lay up with married men and drain what she can. If you stupid enough to mess up the best thing that has ever happened in your life, to go back down into Lodabar, as they call it biblically, to lay up with something who will do what she's doing, then that's where you belong. But you ain't dragging me and my kids down there with you.
And that's how they
I
do it.
I may not have the money today that I had before I met you.
Right.
My credit may be different. But damn, I ain't out there sleeping with any Tom, Dick, and Harry to get $1.
That's right.
I ain't compromising myself to get $1. I ain't compromising my soul to get $1. I'm standing on what's right, what I know to be true and accurate.
But the way they do it, while they're draining his balls, they're draining his pocket also. But they don't know that because it feels so good. And a lot of things feel good that are not really good for you. You see? And
isn't that what you were always told? Everything good, look good, all glitter. Everything that glitters ain't gold.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Yep.
what would you, what advice would you recommend to anyone who senses that they may be in a similar situation? I mean, nothing that you went through is your fault, right? But what could one do to avoid some of the bumps you took to lessen their impact? You see?
Yeah, I got a couple things to tell you. First of all, let me clarify you. According to the church, it was my fault because I was being disobedient to God, and that's why everything happened the way it happened, because God gave the pastor instructions for me, and I did not heed those instructions, so that's why everything happened.
Dang.
That's bullshit, and I don't believe it.
Of course.
But that was their response. Now, when it comes to churches, I did a video about knowing what's a healthy church. If you want to stay in the church, I'm not going to tell you what you do as far as your spirituality, your religion, your faith. That's on you. That's between you and your creator. However, if you're going to stay in it, go check out my video that identifies several things and how to see what might be a healthy church or what might not be a healthy church. Because not all churches are cults, if you will, in that regard. They were taught that this was given to us, and it's in our DNA. And until they get awakened, there are some who still genuinely believe that they're doing the right thing. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're actually trying to help in the communities. So in that regard, I would say if you choose to remain, make sure you in a church like that. But if your church ain't putting back into you, if you can't call your pastor at 3 o'clock in the morning because you got a crisis going on and he can answer his phone without wife confusion. Now, obviously, you're not going to do that on a regular basis, but, let's say, your dad just died and he was the apple of your eye and you can't do life without him. And so you're in a panic, you're crying. Your pastor should be able to take your call, or someone on pastoral staff, and comfort you and that sort of thing. If they ain't got time for that, if they can't return your calls and stuff like that, red flag. If you need money for your light bill and you tithing all these other times, even if you're not tithing, if it's $10 a week, you give it. And that's all you can give. But your light bill is due and they're collecting from everywhere else, but they can't help you keep your lights on, something wrong. If you don't have transportation, and they've got church vans sitting around all over the place, but you happen to pay Uber or MARTA or Metro or whatever your MTA, your public transportation to get there, why they can't pay somebody to gas up that van and drive and come pick y'all up and take y'all home? See, these are the little things you think about when you're going through crisis with your, 15-year-old. They're being influenced by other kids, and they might be doing some things you don't want them to do, etc. Where is that pastoral staff in regards to helping you reel your child back in and helping you to get your child to see that hanging with dope dealers or whatever the case may be is not a good path to take? And it's not just enough to stand in the pulpit and say, where the hell is the damn pastor on the front lines? Did he put on his sneakers and his jeans and walk them streets with you? Is he doing that? Or even mama, does she have on her little flat granny shoes and her little skirt? Is she out there with you walking the streets with those kids? If you got the issues in your marriage, where those women who are coming in there saying, okay, here's the casserole and we're going to take the kids and y'all two go in that room and work it out and don't come out till we hear some louds and noises and screams and, all that kind of making up stuff. Where are the mothers doing that?
Right.
Where are the brothers saying, hey, dude, no,
Tell it.
You're married. You ain't got no business accepting calls from other single women in the church. You ain't got no business going to their aid. You ain't got no business even out here. You go home to your wife and your kids. Where is all of that? And it's being dumbed down, if you will. It's being taken away because society wants it. That's what government wants. But churches want it too. Because remember, 501c3 makes them agents. Does it not?
Sure does.
The churches don't want the families together. I saw in all the marriages I saw destroyed at that church, I saw the husband and wife pitted against each other every single time. And when they pit against each other, they can't communicate. They can't get on the same page and realize that they're being played one against the other. And what the hell happens? The kids wind up suffering. So, that's my talk when it comes to that. When it comes to infidelity potentially in your marriage, remember, establish your boundaries. And if you haven't established them, if you were like in my first marriage when I was younger, 21, I didn't know to establish boundaries. I had no examples, no models, anything to look at.
Right.
So it was a learn as you go, on the job training type of thing. But here, this time around, we established the boundaries up front. And I tell you all, if you're in a relationship or in a marriage and you haven't established your boundaries, start having those conversations. What's acceptable and what's not. You know your worth and you know your value. Ladies, I don't give a good goddamn how much money he make. Now, my husband's income was 5, 6, 7 times my income. That's base. And it is, well, it wasn't that when we got started, but me cutting back to spend more time being the wife and all that other stuff, that's what it turned out to toward the end. And that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you can treat me any kind of way because your income is the highest in the home. That doesn't mean you get to shit all over me, because I am the same queen that you met day one. And any difference in me is a direct result of how you treated me, how you responded to me, how you acted upon me, how you nurtured me and cared for me. What you don't get to do is tear down. A lot of people will do this. They will tear you down. They will flip the script. If they're cheating, all of a sudden you're the one that's cheating. And I encountered this. That was one thing that bothered me in the courts. Apparently, the 80-year-old neighbor that used to help me with my car, and he and his wife helped me with the kids and stuff when I first moved here, is a man that I was having a side affair with.
80 years old.
Now,
you go, girl.
You know what? I don't even know if that man could do anything. I'm being honest with you. Well, I don't even see him in that capacity.
Well,
but,
they probably had it where you brought him some Viagra.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sitting there listening, like, and I call him maybe once a week or whatever, just to check on him because I don't live near him anymore. And I know when I first met this man, he was a neighbor, and he made it a point to check on me and my girls. And get to know us. His wife was awesome. She would come in. How y'all doing? Do y'all need anything? If I was sick and down with this Graves, we had a little system, and they knew based on how I would do my window shades and the garage door, what my level of functionality was for that day. And so they knew if I was going to need help from them based on how I did our little coding, I could depend on them to get my kids back and forth to school. If I couldn't get to the grocery store because I was down, she made sure she got to the store and got whatever I needed from the store. She brought food over. And there were times when the ambulance had to be called and there had to be an ambulance run to the hospital. He or his wife or one of the other neighbors will be the first one in my house, making sure whoever stayed home, they were taking care of whoever stayed home. Somebody was riding in the ambulance, all of that kind of stuff. So I value that couple. We moved away, and I check on him once a week. And if he don't hear from me, then he's calling me to track me down to see how I'm doing. But I sit in court and I hear how the big bitch, and this is not the homewrecker, this is the supposed marriage ministry person from that church. Go figure, she's the marriage ministry.
Wow.
And her husband beating on her, she getting shotguns at him, he leaving her broke, and all kinds of craziness. When she sat there and told about how I was on the phone, I went and she was in the car with me, and we went to some man's house, and the man came, and then I got on the phone with another man and made arrangements to be with them and all kinds. I'm sitting here. That's why I told you I couldn't hold my tongue, and my lawyer had to tell me shut up. Because I'm like, now you know that 80-something-year-old man, who the hell going to see? I guess his wife would, but no, not me. I'm not going to see the other side of town and see an 80-something-year-old man who don't do nothing but talk about God and talk about doing the right thing and tell me what's wrong with my car, encourage the girls to stay on the straight and narrow. I mean, really, But in relationships, when you have people doing dirt, they're going to try to flip everything onto you. Often, all the stuff that they're projecting onto you is what they're doing. So I was projected to have been cheating. I got proof. Let me tell you something. I didn't see the actual sex act. I saw the motel receipts. I saw the Western Union. I saw him paying for different professional expenses for her. She's a nurse or nurse assistant or nurse something. I saw him paying for different professional expenses. I see him paying her car note. I see him paying restaurants and stuff where she likes to eat. I saw all of that. So that's enough to tell me something more going on than you just buddy. Which is why I push. I want what the law says I'm able to. I'm allowed to have, as opposed to just walking away. Because you ain't put my kids' college money back in their bank account. You ain't put my money back in my bank account. So you know what? It is what it is. Pay, don't pay, go to jail, pay my interest. I want it all. And it's by withholding. I ain't waiting on you to send me no damn check. Because if that's the case, I'll still be waiting. Judge ordered you a year ago to do that, and you ain't done that. You promised to do that all along, and you hadn't been doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I can't take you at your word anymore. You've shown that. So hey, Sister Hope, how you doing? I don't recommend any woman go chase a man for shit.
Right.
Because and men, same thing with the women. But as a female, I'm speaking from a female perspective, and you guys, you just flip it over.
Right.
If he can't do right by you, you've established your boundaries, you let him hang himself. You position yourself to do what you got to do. And if it means you got to go work somewhere you don't want to work, if it means you got to sell, I don't know, your refrigerator or your TV or whatever it is to get what you got to get, if it means, whatever you got to change in your life to get by, but as long as he knows that you're not so dependent on him that you will kiss his ass and tolerate his bullshit, then you're straight.
Tell it.
The first time you let a man know he can dog you out, mistreat you, put his hands on you, choke you to the point that you almost passing out, throw you around the room where you've got permanent damage to your kidneys and he think it's okay, then that man will kill you.
Right.
That man will kill you. And it becomes a matter of who's going to kill who first. So, yeah. Did not expect to be at my age in an abusive relationship to the level that it became. But yes, it got way ugly. And I had to kind of toy with that for a minute. I had to kind of toy with that, not just because I'm dealing with it, but my kids saw that. And my kids had never seen, I think they saw me get into a confrontation with someone, a person had attacked me, someone that I know. And they had approached me in a violent manner. And, when you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. You come at me that way, damn sure I'm not going to stand there and let you hit me. So they saw that, but I was able to kind of move us around the vehicle where they couldn't get as good a view of everything. Other than that, my kids have never seen me be physical with anybody in their entire lives. And they're 19, about to be 20 in a month, except my soon-to-be husband. And they saw each time that was always out of self-defense as well. So, and it was difficult to kind of watch them go through the process of digesting the fact that this man who came into their lives when they were like younger girls, middle school or whatever, young, like 12, whatever, come in, beg to be in, apparently proved himself and could be trusted and did everything for them. I mean, to the point of he was ready to fight at one point the pastor about my girls. And then all of a sudden, once the churches, wow. The pastor was starting to do crazy stuff, and he had made some comments. And when he first started coming at us, and my soon-to-be husband, that was the final decision for him. He's like, okay, we're out. And he went toe-to-toe with that pastor about some things he said about my girls and his behavior toward my girls. So for a long time, he was the one, before I could defend myself, he was standing up fighting for me or the girls in whatever way needed to be. Now, all of a sudden, he's the one attacking us. But that's after they're in his ear and he's listening to whatever he's listening to. Yeah, that's right, Hope. The was banned. That's the new word. Let's hashtag that shit. Was banned. Was banned. Yep. And by the way, yeah, my Twitter is screwed up too, because I can send out a tweet and it may hit three or four people. I don't know what kind of
but the thing
little bots they've got running so people can't communicate with me.
Your Twitter and your YouTube, they just laying all over it. I mean, they come at me, but I would think that just generally, I mean, I know the connection and who is doing it to you specifically on your social media. And this is why I have to say, and I have to stress it, they're coming at your channel harder than they're coming at mine. I mean, they try to really shut me down in the beginning of the year, but they're not even letting you have a chance to even catch any air or just take flight for anything. So therefore, we have 139 people here. Please go to Sister B.L. Carter's channel and subscribe and get the notifications. Now, maybe that might not make a difference, but let's see if we can put a dent in that and begin to open things up, because she sincerely shares her knowledge and her wisdom. And it's not just a thing where listen to what I have to say. You know, if the Spirit leads her, she'll talk with you, help you out. That's the person that she is. And they don't make too many people like this anymore. Like the things that you stated that was so impressive, and you weren't trying to impress, you were just rattling these things off of the top of your head. You know, that so-called first lady, why don't she get the little granny shoes, whatever, and go out with the people in the streets? Where's the pastor, you know, helping the people, going after hours legitimately? We're not talking about after hours wanting to lay hands on a sister. You know, I mean, it used to be back in the day where if a pastor went out to actually see a woman, that wife was there. His wife was there. And
that wasn't allowed in our situation.
Right.
The situation was, since I'm no longer a member, my husband was not to tell me anything. He was still officially a member, and they were still dragging him back in. So he was to do what they told him to do, which included getting up in the middle of the night to take calls from all the new random single women that joined the church and needed help.
Oh, they needed help all night in the middle of the night.
Yes. And I was those. I'm laying right in the bed when the calls would come. Well, wow. I got this happened. I need you to do this, need you to do that. And you know, and it was just to create the conflict. That's what the hell that was. And I saw it immediately, but you know, he's a dunce, and oh no, they're good and they're godly and they're all of this and da-da-da. And so, and that's why we are where we are, because you didn't listen. Men, it's not always about you being the man and you're the only voice. Learn that you have to submit to the voice that your wife is saying it sometimes, and then vice versa. She's going to have to submit to you. It's a submission to each other. You know, bottom line, it's not only one can know the truth or know the answer. That's because right. The enemy or the evil or whatever it is will come and attack the man. And you need the wife to have a outside set of eyes to look and see that it's going on. And then you need to say, okay, baby, all right, I got you. I'm hearing you. And you make adjustments. Mm-hmm. Same thing on the other side. She may be the one that's getting off track. And you need him to kind of look from a separate set of eyes and say, baby, no, da-da-da, whatever. And so she submit to him and flow with him. That's right. Relationship. That's marriage. That's commitment. This bull about no, the husband is the husband and what he say go, and if the wife don't do, then she's a bad wife, she's not submissive, she's not obedient to God and all this other bull crap, especially when God is the pastor and not the God, you know, that give us our information through our spirit and through our ears and whatever the gates he's using. Something wrong. Something is wrong. And that's why I got an issue with church today. Mm-hmm. Because too many churches, especially in this area, and I know I've shared low-key, before I got on social media, I shared low-key what's going on. And you got too many damn people saying they want to turn a blind eye.
That's right.
They sit back, oh no, well, he can run his church how he wants. Bullshit. You cannot sit back and watch these pastors get in front of these pulpits and wreck through these people's lives the way they're doing. It's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And to sit back and say, let God handle, that's an excuse to do nothing. Because I'm going to give you your Bible back. Your Bible say faith without works is dead. So you're going to pray about it. That's your faith. Where the hell is your work? When did you get your behind out there and go to that pastor and say, look, we hear some stuff that's going on in this building ain't right. Either you straighten it up or we're going to do what we got to do to shut you down. When are you going to those people saying to them, look, you know what? I'm not trying to pull you from that church to ours for your tithing money, but we know something ain't right up in here. This is not safe for you and your family. Your babies are coming up. They're our next damn generation. All of us black, we all dealing with the crayon box together. All of us are black here together dealing with these issues. We got to get these kids where they need to be. This place is not safe for you and your children. So, you know what? You can come here. You ain't got to come here. You can go wherever, but be on your P's and Q's even if you want to stay here. I mean, there might be a church right next door. They know what the hell going on in the first church, and they ain't saying nothing. Oh, that ain't none of my business. Yes, the hell it is your business. I'm going to give you your own goddamn Bible. What it tell you? Love your neighbor like you love yourself. Don't you love yourself enough to do what's best for you? Then you love your neighbor enough to do what's best for them. Don't get me started, because you know what? I do have a master's in theology, so I know a little bit about that Bible.
Notice
I might have to
go ahead and flow. I'm loving it.
You know, I might have to give it back to you, because that same Bible that y'all are using to justify your actions or your inactions, or you're being lazy, you're turning a blind eye, turning another cheek. At the same time, in the First Testament, in the Old Testament, there was wars left and right. It wasn't no turning no other damn cheek. They fought back at the instruction of God. How many of them kings or leaders, whatever you want to call them, go to God? Well, shall I go against the Ammonites and the Israelites and the these-ites and that? Well, yeah, go rise up against them. No, don't rise up this time. Just hold a minute. Yeah, okay, now rise up against them. Do this. Go overtake them. Go do all. Don't come out of there with nothing. Leave everything. Or yeah, go and take all their spoils. Take the women. Take all of this. That they was fighting in the Old Testament. When this new Jesus come in here, all of a sudden ain't nobody fighting. You sitting back allowing yourself to be mistreated any old kind of way. Y'all better wake the hell up. Wake up. And you know what?
Let it out.
I don't usually go. I don't
let
usually
it out.
Go
this is the time to let it out. That's what we look.
Right.
Look, we talked a long time yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. We
got down into it, and this is the time. Take not just a shot, because you've lived through this. You can speak on it anytime you want. It's your right. It's your story. It's not you completely, but it's what you've gone through. And we got to understand that what you've gone through and what you share here so graciously and abundantly is going to help somebody. Trust me.
Well, the biggest thing, Lance, is that besides being brainwashed in Christianity, and I say, again, we're all at different levels of awakening about that whole thing. So I don't knock you if you're still there. I encourage you then, if you're still there, you do what the hell you're supposed to do. You do what that Bible tell you to do. How about that? Instead of listening to what your pastor say, you get in there. And what they tell you, what are you taught? You pray, and then you read your Bible, and then you pray for guidance and instruction as to how you're supposed to handle whatever it is you just read. Well, you know what? When I was active, and every time I read something in there, it told me to get my behind up and go do. It didn't tell me to continue sitting on the couch eating bonbons and watching TV, or watching TD Jakes or you know, whoever else it is on TV. It told me get my behind up and go do. It told me go meet them out there where they are. I'm supposed to proselytize them, yes. Whether I did or didn't, I'm supposed to bring them into the fold, but I'm supposed to provide for them. I'm supposed to serve them. And serve varies no matter who it is. And we're not talking sexual serve. We're talking serving the old man down the street whose wife left him and he 85 years old and can barely get around. So maybe he needs his prescriptions, or maybe he needs someone to put him in the little box and spell out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so that he's not taking the wrong pills and we got a 911 call down the street. You know, maybe it takes you to look at the old lady's bank account and see why her checks keep bouncing or something. And she got her Social Security coming, but you know, who knows? She crisscrossing or whatever. Put her on a budget, help her with her finances. Maybe it take you to go down there and kick the ass of that man next door who beating on his wife and kids.
That's right.
Step up, do what you got to do. There was a time when I was little girl, you didn't do that. You didn't play that. I've seen men come in and want to hit on the women in my family when I was younger, and I saw my grandmother, I'm talking 50, 60-year-old women, her and all her 13 sisters would show up from every corner of the earth to show a nigga he ain't got no business putting no hands on no women in this family. I don't see that today. I see too many men. You got a woman being beat over there. That ain't my business. She should have left the nigga long ago. Bull. For whatever reason, she didn't. She may be blind. She may be worn down so bad. She may not have money. She may have nowhere to go. I don't give a good darn why she didn't go. You make it a point. If you saw it, you do something about it.
That's right.
You go to him and say, yo, bro, you know what? She ain't got no family here. She ain't got no money here. So you think you can take over her? Well, I'm going to tell you what. The next time I hear her screaming over here, I'm coming for you. And that may not stop it, but that'll slow his ass down.
That's right.
Because he going to realize if she screamed too loud, what? He may have to deal with you. He gonna stop that. A real man is not gonna do that. If he know a man gonna come kick his ass, they gonna sit the hell down. Excuse me, not a real man. A weak man is not gonna continue doing it if he know he gonna have to face a real man. A weak man gonna stop that bull. What Madea said in one of the movies, Tyler Perry said, The one where they were at the motel and the man was the blue suit, the pimp. And I can't call the name of the movie. Whatever, bottom line, he said,
Right,
if
right.
you got a real man, he's scared to go to jail. You know, I thought about that the day the police showed up here and put handcuffs on my husband. I thought about that because I saw a total change in him. When that police showed up here and put them here, took his gun off of him and studied from undergrad day one. In all of my life, I've spent my time trying to build our family because that's the unit of how we're going to survive. And if we're tearing each other down, if we can't help strengthen the family, and we got a church, and that's been the pillar of our community since however many hundreds of years, and we're doing what we're allowing our families to be torn apart because it ain't my business, or because I don't want to get involved, because God said, pray Psalms 91. Bull. I'm going to tell you another story. I was fifth grade. About 10 years old, somewhere thereabouts. And I was visiting, and I won't say the location. Well, yeah, I'll say it. I was in Virgin Islands visiting. And as it turns out, there were several female adults in the house and all of us kids. So each one of them had single kids, single moms, and all of us were, we're kind of, I guess, co-parenting and stuff together. We had a big sleepover. And one of the women, her abusive husband had gotten out of jail. The police didn't let her know. We woke up in the middle of the night to a lot of confusion. The women screaming for us to get up and try to yell for help because there are no fire escapes on the windows there. The husband is outside with a shotgun, and he's threatening to blow her and anybody else away if we didn't open that door and let him in. So what we kids had to do was go stand at the window and scream for help in the middle of the night. You know where our help came from?
Yeah.
It came from several blocks away. A little old lady, because them old folk, they don't mind their business. They be up all hours of the night. She heard us hollering. She heard it. She said she couldn't shake it. She could hear children just hollering, help, help, call the police, call the police. I was 10 years old when this happened. I almost called the people. We were in an apartment complex. It was full. It wasn't no empty apartments next door. No, it was full. Nobody in that apartment complex lifted a finger to help us, to dial 911 or nothing. It took us a good 15 minutes yelling out that window for help before I saw a porch light come on way some blocks away. Now, I'm on the island of St. Thomas. We're up high, and most of the houses, it's all one level or whatever. So you could see off in the distance. Saw a porch light come on. It's like, oh, okay, somebody finally said, help is coming, help is coming. And we continued, and finally, you could see a car drive up. Find out later that it's the police. That car and another car, the police car and the old lady and her husband, they drove up and they following, and we just hollered, and they following the sound. And they come to us, and that's how we got out of there alive that night, because that man was sure enough crazy. He went back to jail. But see, how many people in that whole apartment complex, and not now one of them open their, not now. This is where we are. So if that man had actually fired, shot us, shot the women that were trying to keep the doors blocked and put as much furniture as they could in front of the door to keep him from getting in. And it was men. She had male neighbors. So men, where are y'all? Where are y'all while your women are going through this? And I'm sorry, guys. I love y'all, but I don't want to hear the bullshit about, oh, well, she broke and she got issues. I don't want to bullshit. She's just as broken as you are. But when you see somebody mistreating her, don't go for the dollar. Don't go for that ain't my business. If you getting in somebody's coochie, put the coochie down. It's going to be there. You go handle business first. Same thing for the women. Same thing for the women. You ain't got no business out here playing these guys. No business like the little resident homewrecker Jezebel bitch from the church. She gonna get hers. But what she did was wrong, and she know it. Because not only did she take from my kids, she messed over that man. So she drug him into her bullshit all about some damn money. Because her ass too lazy to handle her finances right, and she want to get for free, whatever she can. I know a couple of them too that will lay up, open their legs for anything they want in life, and I'm related to a few of them. Maybe that's why I don't, hang out too tough with a whole lot of my blood relatives, because I think on a different level. I have a different level self-respect, and certain things I'm not going to do. And I ain't opening my legs for no goddamn body. I don't care who you are, just for your dollar. If you want to give it to me, you give it to me, but that don't mean I owe you anything. We got too many women that it's okay with opening their legs just because the man going to buy her some dinner.
Exactly.
Or he going to pay her rent. I'm going to cut myself. You know what? Sleep in the car. Sleep in the car.
Right.
If you open your legs for him, it's because you want to, because you care for him, or you don't care. You just want some. It is what it is. But don't attach money to it, because you just reduce yourself to a fucking prostitute when you did it. Now, how the hell you going to have self-respect for yourself going forward? And don't dare ask him if he respect you tomorrow, because he can tell you whatever he wanted to tell you, but he don't. Not if your light bill was attached to that blowjob you just gave him. He don't respect you. I don't give a good goddamn what he tell you.
Keep going. I'm not. Oh man.
I mean, you know, it's just it's really, this is not new stuff. I get it. We're facing a whole lot of stuff out here, but this is not new stuff. Every person over the age of 35, your mama, your grandmama, your auntie, somebody been in your life long enough to seed some of this into you. Go back to that. Tap into that. Put that on the forefront of your mind. They put some morals in you. Some of it came out the Bible, so what? But it's good morals still. Stand up. We are what we are because too many of us didn't stand up. And that's the reality of it. Too many of us sold out. We got $1. We got a promotion. We got, you know, whatever it is we got. Too many of us sold the fuck out. We sold out ourselves. We sold out our kids. We sold out the generation coming behind them. That's what the hell we did. And I don't like it. Not after I spent my whole life trying to do what? Trying to build black families and rocking babies at the hospital and dealing with, you know, people that didn't have it at the community centers and stuff like that. And I got all these other folks, so-called conscious, so-called want to help black folk and ain't doing a damn thing. Where's your work? And it's okay to be on YouTube. And I'll say myself as well, it's okay to be on YouTube. But at what point do you put YouTube away? At what point do you get out there and do what you got to do? And if you're, for whatever reason, like in my case, health is a challenge. Most people, y'all don't know, I've been legally disabled since 2006. I still do what I need to do. As long as I'm able to move, as long as I'm able to think, as long as I'm able to talk, I got a phone, I got internet, I got email, I can get in my car if I got to get in my wheelchair that day and roll around. I'm still breathing, so I still have work to do. What's your excuse? Yeah, I get it, you're tired. But guess what? You're going to have plenty of time to sleep when your time comes. While you here, do what you got to do, because somebody waiting on you. Somebody needs you. Somebody's child is about to be abused. Some little girl is about to have some 30-year-old man penetrate her. And she got to go the rest of her life with that damage. Oh, but that's right. Yeah. Nah, she doesn't get to get away from it because there's no money for therapy. Oh, black people, we don't want to go to therapists because that means you're crazy. And whatever man that she meets in life, he going to see that weakness and take advantage of it. The one that might be nice and not going to take advantage, what the hell he going to say? Oh, she broken, she damaged, I don't want to touch her. So she has to go through life having less, not ever being fulfilled, not reaching her potential, having less than what any girl is able to have. Why? Because somebody didn't stop the man that you knew was running around raping little girls. And it ain't just the girls, it's the boys too. I was a little girl, I was in my 3rd grade. And that was my first acknowledgement or first coming aware in New York, the Bronx, New York, to know that men were raping little boys too. There was a little boy our age and he went missing. And we all went to looking for him. When they found him, that man had already got to him. And that boy was messed up. As long as we lived there, that boy was messed up ever since. But here's the point. At what point did people that saw him walking with that little boy intervene? He live in the neighborhood, so you know you ain't seen this man in the neighborhood before. Really? When did you intervene? Not even a month ago. I'm sitting in the post office trying to renew my passport. A woman, and she's Spanish looking, and black man, and a little girl. You can see she's mixed. They're there with her, and the next thing you know, the dad goes to the car, the stepdad really, and then the mom goes to the car, and another couple comes, and I look up and I realize they talking to a little girl, and they sitting there and they asking, you know, how things at home, and I'm just sitting here listening like, wait a minute, you obviously are not this child's parents that you're asking her about home and her siblings and all that. It was my business. She didn't come in there with those people. So, and that was a bad day for me. I wasn't moving very well that day. I got up, I got my stick, my cane, and I hobbled my little ass right on out there to the car that the stepdad and the mama was in. And I said, look, are you aware that there's two adults in here talking to your child, asking her about what's going on in your house? And I don't think they knew that, you know, what all they were asking, but they did tell me that's the girl's biological father and his wife or, you know, stepmom, basically. So it was okay that they were talking. I said, well, just so that you know, they're asking questions about things that are going on in the home. That woman come on in here and, you know, she stayed the rest of the time that we were there. But the fact still remains, I did my duty. Now, how many of y'all gonna do your duty? When you in the grocery store, you see some young girl, she probably got 4 or 5 kids, ain't had no business having that many kids by herself. It is what it is. But they're here. Ain't a damn thing we can do about it. They're here. But try to love them, try to guide them, and try to do what we can while we're in their presence. You see, in her there, we're going to say her name, Bebe, and Ray Ray, and Susie, and whatever the children names are. One of them run around up and down the aisles like they ain't got no damn sense. The mama, you could clearly see, is just so frustrated. She don't know what to do. She about ready to wring her neck. What's wrong with going over to there talking to that little boy? Mm-hmm. Just direct his attention away. Hey, how you? Talk about his shoes. Talk about a toy. Talk about anything to reline him, pull him right on back in again. What are you doing? You helping him and you helping the mother. And you're probably saving him from getting beat or abused that day too. It doesn't take much. Sometimes the work takes no money at all. All it takes is time. All it takes is a heart. That's all right. It takes is love. But no, I got to get my shrimp or my kale or whatever it is I got to get and get on up out of here. Because, you know what, I got to get through the traffic. Oh, you know, I got, what's them shows? Empire or whatever they are. That's coming on tonight. I got to hurry up and get home to watch my show. Bullshit. Because that show going to be there. You got DVR? Tape the show. Or go back and catch the rerun. That little boy may not have another opportunity. That may that's be right. The day that's the last straw for his mama. You know, I mean, just... how we get into this family stuff, I don't know. But in a nutshell,
keep it flowing. Keep it flowing.
We got to support our families. We got to support these children. I'm personally am totally against anybody that does anything that's against a child, that will position a child to have unnecessary baggage and unnecessary damage in life. Yes, a lot of these kids are born out of wedlock. Yes, a lot of them are born into poverty, and a lot are not. A lot of them are born into marriages where the husbands and wives probably should not have had a child when they had the child, but the child is here. There ain't nothing we can do about it but equip that child as best we can. And in my mind, the way the old folks taught me, when I sat at their feet, when I come in contact with them, that means I have to share something with them, whatever that share may be. And I put that challenge on all of y'all. When you come in contact with somebody's child, or it might be a single mom, it might be a brother, whoever it is, you come in contact with them, there's something you have to give them. Some little gem, some little piece of knowledge, some little piece of wisdom that you have to give them to get them to whatever their next step may be. You ain't got to know their business. You just open your mouth, let the spirit speak through you. Open your heart and it will flow. Wherever it's supposed to go, it's going to get there. I don't know. Ask me a question because I'm getting off right here. So.
I just want to thank those who donated in the super chat. It really makes a difference, yeah. And thank you so much. And this is what we do. This is what we do. It's a labor of love, and what we are compelled to do on a divine level. It's just that simple. We look for ways to communicate on different topics, and again on this platform, we have to say that, you know, we let everyone speak who is concerned about the upliftment of Black people. Did I say uplifting? I said upliftment. I'm getting ebonic here, but that's what it's all about, and that's why we keep our cameras on us. I stay strapped all the time. If I'm home, I'm going to do a show. BL, we had wonderful conversations, and so much insight was shared, and I'm so stimulated. And I have to say that the best is yet to come, because we're going to put the work in. You can't fake putting the work in. You know what I mean? The best is yet to come. And again, if you have anybody out there, and I'm just saying this now, giving you a little break to get a little something to drink so you can keep on going. If you know anybody out there who is worthy of these types of interviews, I'm not saying worthy like I'm some big famous whatever, but just worthy in its sense. Shonda Lewis, thank you so much. It's much appreciated. And you know what you're investing in. And I will continue, and all of us will continue to keep pushing forward with the information, the stimulation, and everything. And ways seen and unseen. You see what I mean? Because we do talk to a lot of people that may not want to be on the show. So it's a mission for our people, and it helps. Like I said, if you know anybody who you say, man, I would love to, whether they're known or unknown, you know, the number's on the bottom, 407-590-0755. The email, scurvmedia@gmail.com. And again, everybody, please subscribe to Sister B.L. Carter's channel. Sister B.L. Carter. B.L. Carter. Doesn't hurt to go over there and search it, open up another tab, you know, and just hit that subscribe button and get the notifications. They're really coming down on her. Look, they don't want this kind of sense getting out there. They don't want this kind of wisdom getting out there. They want our children to be running amok. They want them to be rebellious so they can be rebellious right on into the jailhouse. They want them to be rebellious so they can be rebellious so they can do all kind of things and claim that they're this and claim that they're that and this is the real me and walk around confused. They don't want strong upbringing, undergirding, support. They don't want that. They don't want black families, melanated families. They don't want that. Strong. Yes, we've always had challenges. Who wouldn't in this country and under this system all over the world? But we had each other. Now we're losing each other. The Sister BLs of the world are not appreciated enough. Those are the ones who keep things straight. And she's always on it. I have to say, after spending time face to face for those several days, I was quite impressed. And it wasn't that she was trying to impress me. The way she carried herself, the way she showed respect, the way she showed love, it's just an absolute pleasure because it's like a throwback to me from what I know growing up. And that's the thread that holds the garment of the black melanated community together. Remove that thread and we fall apart. You know, you're a spring chicken compared to me. And
now we ain't too far late. You just had a birthday last week, so I'm catching up on you.
No, well, give me a little time. I'm gonna move on up. But I'm just saying that, you know, as well as you keep yourself with all the physical challenges you have, you know, you're gonna be a heck of an old lady. I'm just gonna say it. Let's just be real. You're gonna be
wait
that
till
one.
my Spitfire years. You know, when you that old and you can say what you want to say and can't nobody say nothing back to you. I can't wait.
I'm moving into that right now. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just don't care. But you're already there as far as the spirit is concerned. But look, when you speak, the world listens, and I have to say I appreciate that. It helps to keep me aligned, because you know those of us in our age group and our similar upbringings, we don't fall off, but sometimes we don't hear it enough. You know, and it is what it is, but you're not appreciated enough, you know.
Well, thank you.